Well, good afternoon and welcome to this pregame show for Bermuda women's national team versus the Dominican Republic here at the Florida Southfield Stadium at the National Sports Center. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me, our co-host, Maceo Dill, Garrett Punchy Dill, and Norbert Simons. Gentlemen, the last time the women were here in Bermuda, they came away with a big victory. The women's senior team came away with a big victory. This time around, they're missing two of their stalwarts in Leilani Nesbitt and obviously Emily Cabral, both coming off of injuries. Leilani is back in Florida State playing, and she's building up her minutes. Emily is still suffering from an injury. But tonight, it's all about the start of the Women's Gold Cup. Maceo, clearly CONCACAF and we must say FIFA have increased the amount of games for women as they have with the men to offer somewhat of a balance. We know when these young ladies, when they would have first started at under 15, even under 13, they were playing once a year. Now the opportunity to be playing multiple times a year, it's got to be great for the women, not only in Bermuda, but around the world.
Well, that's what we have to put in perspective tonight as we're looking at our journey in women's football. It's new to us. So the perspective tonight that the public have to be aware of, this is just an opportunity to build and get more women on playing football. Yes, we want to get a good result out of this, but women's football worldwide is starting to grow. So yes, you have to commend CONCACAF for putting these events on, that you start to play. These are meaningful games. As far as ranking, do you go up into the next level? Do you play against USA? So for us in Bermuda, I've always felt our women's sport is our quickest route to fame. That's how I feel about it. That our women's sport is our quickest route to fame because it's new around the world. We can start on par with the rest of the world. So definitely, this is a good opportunity from that perspective.
Yeah. One of the things, and I'll go to Punchy. One of the things that we often see in sports is that if you ask a woman to do something in sport, they're going to do what you ask them to do. They're one of the most easiest teachable athletes. Where the man is going to try so many different things. Looking at it, I mean, during your time, we didn't have many women playing football, but now the opportunities are far greater. What's your take on this turn of what I would say events to see more women playing?
I'm gonna go back to when I first started overseas coaching with David in summertime, David basketball. I was going to Harrisburg, and I remember we're going back 10 years ago. David would say to me, "Women's games will leaps and bounds." And also, there's quick questions. He says, "Let me tell you also, it's easy to coach your girls." So I've seen what's happening now. What David was talking about, just that women's games growing leaps and bounds. And I'm glad to see it because let's look at the World Cup. The World Cup that was just held in Australia.
Yeah.
Look at the amount of the attendance, but the brackets.
Yeah.
It's just out of this world.
Yeah.
Plus the quality, and I think what it was so happy about watching is that everybody is supposed to talk about. They just like women just don't play. They just play.
Just play.
They get up. They don't fake falls. They just gotta play, and I think that's like a revelation. I think what football, international football used to be like, and I'm not going on about this, but I was looking at some photos, some videos of Bill Pelly, and the amount of fouls and what he got kicked, and I was like, wow. But the point that I'm saying is that he just got up and kept playing,
Definitely, yeah.
and that's what it's a revelation. Women, you see women, they get down the byline, they get the ball in. I think it's just old-fashioned good football that you enjoy. They just don't. They just play.
They remind you of how football was played back in the day. Fundamentals of having two wide players, get the ball down the line, get the ball cross, get the ball in the midfield, play out wide, all that type of stuff. And that's how our game used to develop back in the day. And the coaching now is different because the coaches try to emulate the men with the positions of 10, 8, 9, 6, and so forth. But teaching it to the girls or the ladies, they're grasping it a lot faster and a lot better than the men because they just want to do what the coaches ask them to do.
Well, I'm just gonna add to that again. If you watch Spain play, it's like a replica of it's like just the man's senior national team where they play. And imagine how long it take for them to get there. What were they doing 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago? Those women that are playing in that team now. So it really is good to see.
Right. Well, let me bring Norbert in because Norbert's been a coach of track and field and of sport for quite some time. He coached Somerset Trojans when they played Manchester United, Arsenal. Who else were you coach of when you were coaching? Who else did you play from the UK when Hazel? Okay, all right. So looking at the women's game of late, Simons, take us through the challenges you would have had as a coach of a team where a lot of people back in the day were saying that was unstoppable. I mean, Somerset Trojans.
Well, you see, back in those days, guys used to sit up and watch old star soccer, old star football, and go out there and try and emulate what they saw them playing. And I think that the superiority in women's football, because they don't have that type of influence yet, right? Yet. I mean, we may see 10, 15 years from now, all of the shenanigans that goes on in men's football may creep into women's football when they start building a bigger fan base, a bigger support system, which I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think that simpler times is that, and I'm going back to days when punching these guys played, they just went up with the desire to play football, play well, and to win. But I swear, I watch a lot of these professional games, and I think these guys are being taught how to dive. I think it's part of it. It's clearly a part of the process. A slight little touch, and they're done, and that's all theatrics.
Yeah.
And that's to get the crowd riled up, because they have a big support system, and so all of that plays into it.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's take a look at the Bermuda team and some of the players who we've been following, especially in their schools. The likes of Nia Christopher, who just became the all-time leading scorer in Towson. She's been one of those athletes who, over the years, has really dwelled into or developed into a talented footballer. We know her from years going by and what she's been able to do. But Macy, you've obviously followed somebody like Nia. What do you think about her career? I mean, her first year, she only scored one goal. And I done an interview with her day before yesterday. We talked about, that frustrating first year. You're new into a team. And then the second year, she kind of found her way and people trusted her and the whole thing. And it started to take off. And now to be in your fourth year scoring 32 goals and still got plenty of football to play. And come Sunday, she could become the lead. So talk a little bit about what you know about someone like Nia.
I think it goes to what we're talking about. I think biologically, scientifically, women tend to take things step by step. Step one. So a talented male comes in his first year and thinks, I gotta score 40 goals or I gotta score 30 goals. And if he doesn't, now emotionally, maybe he has a meltdown, emotionally it's not there yet, maybe falls out with the coach, maybe. Nia, if you take what we're talking about, because the first year she's smart enough to realize, well, I'm learning my trade. This is my learning time. And now, if you jump forward to her fourth year, she's dominating her trade in that. So again, it goes back to the purity that everybody's been talking about, step by step by step, and without skipping a step.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's be honest, women have organized all of us, right?
Yeah.
Women are organized. Sometimes we don't even like the organization that they put on us, and this is what you see. This is what you see
Mm-hmm.
coming out of Nia. She's going to be a threat tonight. You know, and what I want to watch out of Nia, before she was just very comfortable running behind. Now I
Mm-hmm.
want to see how she links to play a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, she was always comfortable running behind, using speed, using those things. I want to see what else she's got in her game tonight. You know, that brings other people in. You know, the different movement patterns, and I think you'll see that coming out of her tonight.
Yeah. One of the things that we have to be, and I'm pretty sure Dominican Republic will be aware of, is the fact that she would be now our biggest threat because we don't have Leilani Nesbitt. So here now comes Jada. Um, here comes now, I'm sorry, Jaden Masters. Here comes now Janai Simmons. Um, these players clearly have to kind of step up to help Nia do what you're asking, what you're saying you're looking for. Because as we saw in the men's game, when players come back looking for the ball, we lose out something else in other areas. So I'm gonna quickly jump to Norbert, because you have a person like Koa Goodchild, who is a two-sport athlete. Um, she's now really concentrating a lot on football and the national program, but she was also into track and field. Um, Balancing that out, how do you think that's helped her, uh, both physically and mentally?
Well, track and field is the basis for all sports.
Hmm.
And if you can master the art of managing and controlling your body, which seems to be a challenge for a lot of us. If you can learn how to manage and control your body, then you can make the adjustment on the football field. Plus, if you're prepared to do track and field, it's long, hard work, and it requires a lot of self-discipline, right? And you could, and all of that is transferable to football. Because if she plays from a defender, if she has the overlap, she already has the endurance there to do it.
Mm.
I mean, so and I say it all the time. I think that with a lot of our players, if we can get them conditioned first, then the skills and the drills that are required of them will be easier to manage. Because when you're tired, the first thing that leaves you is the ability to think.
Yes.
But it has to become rote. If you're so used to doing it, it now becomes easier to manage. And when I look at someone like Koa, right? Koa was a disciplined athlete
Mm.
in track and field. Whatever training session she had to do, she did it. So that means that she had that basic disciplinary aspect to take it to her game. Because you know that when she first went to Howard, she was not in the sport.
Right. Right.
So that requires you to be humble.
Yeah.
That requires you to be humble. I mean, I think that we always allude to what happened, why it's a little difference between boys and girls. And 9 times out of 10 is that one, girls are far more social by nature. So they need that environment in order to thrive. What happens is that because the expectations on the boys is that you expect them that because they play good football for Summers of the North Village, we automatically think that they should be in the national squad. That's not necessarily true. Because there are other pieces to the puzzle that need to be considered when you pick players and you pick people to be a part of the national team.
Yeah. Punchy, let me ask you, because it's vital, because Norbert just brought up something that is kind of accurate. When looking to pick a player, especially at the club level, what are you looking for in that attribute of that player, whether it be male or female?
Well, I think in the position they play, that's first and foremost. And if they were center half or the wing backs now, what are the attributes to show wing backs get up the field? They're almost like wingers now. So you're looking at players in those roles. So what you do is you look at players and identify what they are capable of doing in the roles that they're put in. And there's what's a true original step forward, a good attacking midfield, a good defensive midfield. And you're looking at just what they bring to the positions they play in. And I remember Coach Davis was very adamant about the fact that even lectures can give you paperwork on what you need to identify the position that you play in, what is necessary in that position. So, I think about having the attributes for the position to play in, what it consists of. Now, when you get to the national level, it's that it got to be a little even higher. It's got to be more demands on what you, the standard that you are. Because going playing at the club level and the national level is two different things.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Maceo, let me talk to you a little bit about expectation, because we've seen over the years our females have had, especially internationally, a lot more success than the males. Even at the younger ages. Um, Now we're in the senior level, where other teams have had a lot more exposure, much more games. Um, but I wouldn't say we're new to this, but we're still getting our feet wet into it. Expectations of where this team goes in this first tournament that they're in on a road to a World Cup. Um, what is your expectation?
For me, for me, I'm only looking at this as an opportunity to build women's football and unite women's football locally and get more younger people's name. I think we have to respect this process and respect where we are in this process, because we Bermudians tend to get ahead of ourselves with our expectations internationally when we're not putting in
Coach,
what the rest of the world's putting in. So the rest of the world are putting in, you know, A, B, C, D, right up to Z.
right.
We're on A, B, and C. We're still on that first step. So to say that we're gonna have expectations that we're gonna dominate, we're gonna beat the top boys. This is for me is to unite women's football in Bermuda. That's the responsibility that I see that these ladies have out there, to show that women can play football and to motivate the next generations of playing football, because that's been a challenge for us, right?
I just kind of called the coach over because I want her to hear us say we wish you all the best tonight. We know that you put in a lot of time and effort with these young ladies over the years, not just the last week, but over the last few years. And we're looking for tonight to be, as Maceo has indicated, the start of something to encourage those young, like you said to me a few weeks ago. You want young ladies who are getting into football to have the pictures of your players, of you on their wall, and this is the start of it. So we want to make sure that we wish you all the best tonight, and good luck come Tuesday. But we'll be talking to you after the game. But we just wanted to say that tonight.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. Really.
All right.
You'll be entertained. Trust me.
All right.
These girls are in a good space. They're in a very good
That
space.
that's what we want to hear.
The result, these girls. This is. I've never had a team that's been so ready to win.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard that from the coach. The girls are ready,
Yeah.
and we're looking forward.
And that even helps. Wow, we get a victory out of this year. Bermudians like victories.
Oh yeah.
We might not like the work for victories, but we like a little victory.
But sometimes, and we've all had our turn in football. Sometimes a victory doesn't look good, but a victory is a victory is a victory. And sometimes you have to get dirty in the victory. Not saying that that's what's going to happen tonight, but hey, if it does, and we get the result, in the end, Bermuda comes out on top, and that's what we're looking forward to. Also, a good performance. Now, Punchy, the last time, previously, these teams were playing at younger ages, and the Dominican Republic were beating us pretty bad. The last time these two teams played last year, the result was 1-0. So the gap is getting closer. And I think that is what Coach Keita's alluding to, is that these girls are now feeling like there's a chance we could beat these girls sometime soon. We're going to be able to beat these girls. And tonight could be that night. So just like when you were in the national program, or even in North Village, talk about that one team you guys failed to beat, but you were getting closer and closer and closer, and that feeling, that emotion in the change room of when you feel like this is the time we could beat them.
Yeah, I can remember those. I can remember those teams like the Portable, like the Social Club. Yeah, my first time, like my first time playing Sunday afternoon against Dominican, reaching that level, because we are very sure to win this game, to beat this game. But with again, as you mentioned, development in terms of now they've closed the gap, and also don't forget who the Dominican Dominica has a much more wider base to choose from.
Yeah.
Will these players are they playing in Dominican Republic, or are they playing in Europe, or are they playing in the United States? So, and I think most of the girls on the national team, on our national team, are playing overseas, but it's college
Mhm.
teams. So, yeah, we are closing the gap. But again, back to what Mitchell said about we have to be patient. In terms of it, and it takes. I'll tell you factually, and I'm going to say this: we cannot cheat on this. Development is everything.
Yeah.
I would like to see it get back in women's soccer academies. Best players that come into school, if you pick a school, we have academies here for them,
Mhm.
and they at a younger age. And so, yeah, we're still punching above our weight. We're doing okay.
Mm.
But it's a common time now, like tonight, again, come up here looking for a victory.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
a good display of ourselves and what we're attempting here
Yeah.
will be good.
Yeah. And what happens is a lot. Before I go back to Norbert, a lot of people that raise the voice don't realize what it takes to get to a level of what we're getting to. So if the result's not good tonight, a lot of the negative comes because those people who, one, wouldn't even spend $20 to come and watch them play, two, would rather see Bermuda do bad so they can criticize, and three, have nothing to offer to help the program as well. So that those are the things that I really get upset about, because they get a lot of airtime when, if you ask them one simple question, what's your solution? And the first answer is, well, I don't know. So if you're not ready to help, keep your mouth shut. But no, but there's another young lady in this team that has track and field background, and that's Aaliyah Nerlin. Aaliyah, she was a pit bull on the on the track, and now she's a pit bull on the field. You've had time with her. Talk about the personality of someone like Aaliyah Nerlin.
Anil she was one of those athletes that was just focused.
Mm.
Who was, I don't want to sound derogatory, but you know how you put blinders on a horse? You told her what to do, she went out and did exactly what you told her to do. So from that point of view, she had that inner drive, right? So, and if you don't have that inner drive and that inner passion, you're not going to be successful in sport, you know? And going back to some other points that we made, I think that for our women and for us as a country, right, our expectations of our men in football, our men in sport, has rooted.
Mm.
Okay? Because we want to compare this footballer to a Lionel Messi. Because all we see is the finished product on TV,
Yes.
but not looking at all of the work that's required and needed in it. Now, when we talk about development in football, and I'm going to talk about football in particular, right? All our best coaches want to coach the first division team, Premier Division team. Good point. If you're talking about development, your best coaches need to be down in the grassroots, teaching the basics. If you're really serious now, right? But everybody wants glory. Even at your local level, we're just concerned about results. We're not concerned about development. And so when we get into the national squad, we expect a nation of the indigenous population is 39,000. That was a few years ago, so it's probably lower now because a lot of people have left.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you expect to accomplish with that? Two, we don't do we re, are we really serious when it comes to development of sport in this country? We can't compete. I mean, I'm going to go back to track and field. I picked up a newspaper in Jamaica, Gainer, and they put millions of dollars into a high school program.
That's the development part. Yeah.
Okay. So football is getting money. As long as they play in these competitions, they get money from FIFA. FIFA's doing the smaller countries a great disservice because more of that money should go into developing the sport so that when they get to those levels, they can be sustained.
Mm.
You can't be a one-off.
Maceo, so you're shaking your head and agreeing with everything that was being said.
Yeah, he makes a very good point. I mean, I look at even me as a coach when I coach and North Phillips won the Triple Crown and the glory came and I realized it wasn't any game. My next coaching job was with Pee-wees because the second year with North Village, after we won the Triple Crown, everybody got the glory. We were struggling to win a game. You know, we were struggling to get people training. And it triggered something to me in that time that, okay, I can't sustain myself at this level. I got the glory. And now we got to go down to Pee-wees and to coach them not to be like that and sustain it. So I agree. I agree with Norbert. And I also have the perspective of when we look at our national bodies and where they are asking for their funding. So there's three areas they're asking for funding: high performance, coaching development, and junior development. And high performance funding is 80%.
Right.
And coaching development and junior development makes up the last 10%. So to Norbert's point, we're are we invested in the development? We're more invested in the glory piece, and again, it goes back to the point. We like the glory piece, but are we going to put the work, the grassroots work in? Because it's some big work at a 5-year-old. There's some big work in our sticking in to get to that glory.
Yeah.
So we're skipping over some steps here.
Yeah. One of the things, Punchy, is when you look at it, if you're putting the funding into the development, more people stay in the sport as opposed to only the people that are got vested interest in it.
Also, Dr. Kadrov, and I also go to know one point I want to double up on Northern Point where the best coaches should be coaching at
the lower level.
younger level. That is so important. So when you get into senior level, if you even take Klopp or Alex Ferguson, these guys are managers now.
Right.
They're not even coaching, they're managers now because the best coaches are develop these kids with tools. You know, and they've got the personalities or whatever to deal with kids. You know, so that is such an excellent point. You know, that if we can structure the better coaches, like even when you look at the BFA structure and coaching was okay, you got to have a B license to coach at the senior.
Wow.
Really, you should have that B license to coach at the youth.
But the club squashed that.
Yeah, the club was squashed it, and it should be flipped.
Yeah.
The idea should be
The
flipped.
notion and the idea,
The
yes,
notion and the idea should be flipped to structure the better coaches
to coach at the
develop.
development. Yeah.
To Robert's point, everybody's looking at the glory.
Yeah. Before we go any further, I want to say to one of the coaches of the team that is not here physically at the Florida Southfield Stadium, but is watching this online, Vance Braun, we're rooting for you, brother. Get well soon. You know these girls are gonna do it for you, and do it for this country. So we know you're watching. So.
Well, the expectations is getting a little higher now. but the passion is still remaining in this country because, again, getting back to the basics, I know we like winning, but and that's a passion that we have.
Mhm.
We like to win. There's always going to be a passion. I know that. Whether it's cricket, whether it's we just have a passion for sports. We have a real good passion for football. It's never going to leave us. You know, we again, we and going back to the point about growth, about development. You know, and it's got to be that. So that when we come out on like a night like tonight, the passion is also coupled with the fact that we're winning.
Mm.
That's very important also.
Yeah. Let me ask you guys. We're here at the sports center. We can feel the gusts. It's blowing kind of southeast, obviously to an angle. No, but as a coach, you take the win first, or you take the win second.
Depends on the opposition.
Okay.
For me, it would depend on the opposition, right? Philosophy is that you get yours,
Yes.
but the win is good.
Yes.
And if you know this going at the National Sports Center, I do the win at my back first because second half is going to change.
Right.
If you are familiar with the stadium, you know there's sometimes it changes. I don't know why, but it changes.
And the win is expected to drop later this evening.
Well,
But what time we don't know.
No,
Yeah.
but I mean, from my experience at National Sports Center, and I'm going back to track and field. Sometimes you'll set up you set up the track because you know the wind is going to come out of the north or the northwest.
Uh-huh.
So you want to run with the wind. But next thing you know, you turn around, next thing you know, you're running, the wind's in your face. So for us, I would say, you know, especially if you know what your opposition is like, you can play a higher line, whatever you say. What? Go up the wind first. Some coaches don't.
Yeah.
But I've learned that sometimes when you say you go, I've seen times we've lost the toss and got the win in our face. Second half, the win come back like the game, the win still in your face.
Yeah. It happened to the Bermuda men's national team
Yeah.
2 games ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Punchy, as a coach, what you do?
Well, the first thing is so take the advantage of how you play with it. That's very important. Also, how you play against it. I would go always say that I'll take the advantage first with the win. Right. But it's still going to be some time, whereas we're just not going to play from back to front.
Mhm.
We, and coach has alluded to the fact that we will be entertained tonight. I know what, I speak to her a lot. I know what she's attempted to do, and it's still in its infancy stage about football development, good touching, good passing game. But at times, a victory is a victory. If take the advantage, use it well, and know how to set up against it in the second half. You're playing against it.
Mm. Maceo?
Well, it also depends where your team is. If my team's at a physical peakness, I'll, I'll, I'll go against the man first. I won't get mine because if I can sustain them, if I can sustain them, in the second half, I can go at them. So again, depending where the peak fitness of your team is what you want.
Right.
What you want to do. Sometimes, like I said, it's been a flaws. Let's get mine first.
Mm.
But if I know that in the second half the other team, and nobody alluded to, the other team's going to tire potentially when they have to go there. Yeah. So it's different ways of looking at it. It's really a decision that's made instinctually 10 minutes before the kickoff. Right.
Yeah.
That watching those dynamics as it builds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let me ask you guys, because one of the things that and Maceo touched on, and that's why I'm going to ask this question is, how do you know when your team's in a good space?
Oh,
How do you know when your team is everybody's on the same page, everybody's on the same cylinder, everybody's doing.
So, let me just jump in that question. That's an exciting question because you spend so much time with these people.
Mhm.
You know their triggers. You know when they might have not slept well. You know when they've got something emotionally going on. You know when they're ready because you spend so much time with it. And when you put a team together on the football field, the things that you're practicing, you see it happening. So over a period of time working it, you see it happening. And I have a funny joke. as it relates to that, the Bermuda team just coming out to the pitch to warm
Yeah.
up. I have a funny joke. In the year that the 2 years I was coaching as a senior level at North Village, I knew what type of girls we got. I knew how we was going to defend. And we get up here in the finals and the Triple Crown finals, and I realized something was off for my team. Like everything that was usually happening wasn't happening. I'm like, what is off for my team? Like I knew something was off for my team, and wasn't until one of the players said, because we had him in a hotel. One of the players told me, "Oh, everybody's been out last night. Everybody's been out, so the team was off."
Mm.
And interesting enough, when I knew the team was off, I knew the triggers I had to pull now.
Mm.
You know, so you know your team, you're one with your team, so you would know by so many different dynamics as to how people figure out how the body language looks, what they say, you know, how they start to perform. So there's so many different pieces that you just watch. Right?
Yeah. No, but I saw the big smile came on your face when I alluded to that question. What's your take?
No, I agree with Mason. There were times like when I was coaching football. Well, I'm going to admit I prefer coaching the juniors than I did the senior team.
Mm-hmm.
But you walk in the changing room and you have that feeling. I've seen times I walked in the changing room and you're not too sure. And 5 minutes before the game, something turns on and your experienced players. No, juniors were a little different. But your experienced players who know that who they play the occasion, right? You know, because like make sure you to one time my junior team, we played North Village, and at the end of the first half, I looked at one player and said, "You got here at 11 o'clock, you got here at 12 o'clock, you got here around 2 o'clock to school there. I don't know what time you got here." And they said to me, "Sons, what about him?" And they said, "How did you know?" I said, "Because I still stood at Barnes School and watched you drive some. I didn't know."
Right.
But you pick it up. All you have to do is pick on 1 or 2 players.
And it all comes out.
And it comes out.
Yeah.
So, you know, and then I told them that day, I'm not making any substitute. You're all going to sit out there and pay the price. You know, for not showing up.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that what it boils down to again is you look at the body language of the team, and you have to look at it because your designated leader is not your leader is not always the captain in a team. And you see what them is like, and you can get them and the rest of the team talking. So you know it depends.
Yeah. Punchy?
I'm going to bring something up. About football. Okay, go back to the advantage. The advantage of playing in the way and the advantage of not playing against it. When I watch the national team play, you know, Brazilians are not, we're not really big people.
No.
I look at the size of the girls, and the size of the Dominican girls. Even in the men's national team,
Yes.
our size was smaller people. So, and then we got to think about our ferociousness. Are we like this? Or are we like this game play that we'll put like passing game? I'm hoping that this team shows that. I think that's what I've had to talk with Pete about. You know, look at the size of we're not like so. Let's play to our advantage. You know, look at Dominican girls. Every time a team comes, the first thing I look is at the physical appearance. I say, okay, and I think this is something that we have to decide on. The method of how we are going to play, even at the national level.
Yes. But we saw when they came out. They came out on the field when they arrived before the Bermuda team. They came out on the field and were just walking around, and that was one of the things I looked at. They looked a lot taller. That looked a lot more physical. And you know we have to wait until the whistle blows to see what that translates into. However, you're right. We have to develop a style that's going to help us have an advantage as opposed to trying to beat them at their own game. I think when we played in the Nations League in 2019, we played a lot more on the ground because that was our strength. We're not going to match Panama and Venezuela and Jamaica and those teams in the year. We're not going to match them because we just don't have that height. But when we want to play to our ability to, where we play on the ground but fast, we can turn quickly, and those type of things, I think that's what we have to develop from what you were saying, from the young age, teach that from the development side of the sport, and then when they get to that national level, it comes natural kind of thing. Um, we have some teams who have big players, but all they want to do is kick the ball in the air. And I think if we had it at the grassroots where that was taught, I think that's where we will actually get a lot stronger.
And in addition to that, I think that one of the advantages, even though we have a small numbers, but familiarity breeds contempt.
Oh yes.
And if we can, and if our players, and I think that this is going to be one of the advantages for young ladies tonight, is because they've been together a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they know one another. So instinctively, and especially if they've been doing drills, rather than been in school or not, you know one another. And so you instinctively know just by looking in the eye where to put the ball.
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. You may not have to talk as much.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be an advantage that should be pressed and pursued and without the team and whatever shortcomings they may have.
Yeah. Makes you, we've seen, especially the local girls. They played over the summer here. PhD Lady Zebras, Somerset Lady Trojans. We have a mixture of those girls in the team. But what's been fascinating is the amount of girls who are now also playing in the UK, which actually helps develop our football to another level, because we've seen that in the men's team, when we have these players not only playing in university and college, but also in the UK, that when they come back, you could see the intensity because of where they've been playing. And a lot of people discredit where, they're playing fifth league or they're playing sixth. But it's a different level of football.
It's the culture.
Yeah.
It's the culture. You live it. And if you're professional, that means you have to eat, drink, sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes second nature to you. Whereas in Bermuda, how many times a week they train?
Yeah. About 2 hours.
2 hours.
2 hours twice a week, maybe 3 times.
And the coach just got to spend most of the time trying to get you fit.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. These girls playing overseas.
Yeah, that's the difference.
Would get
That's
fit.
the key.
I look at the girl Trinae Edmonds, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna be that's the pit bull that sits in the midfield,
Yep.
that cleans up, that
Mm-hmm.
smashes everything, that starts everything.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna be very important. Ava Frontioni, where she's playing, she's super intelligent.
Right.
She's super intelligent in where she moves, where she passes, what gap she feels. Those are super intelligent. If you go back to the last game where they beat us 1-0 in the 90th minute, per
Mm-hmm.
se, or
Yes.
90th minutes from a set play,
Yes.
we matched them from a perspective of organization and discipline. That's the difference with the guys.
Mm-hmm.
We can outplay and lose a game.
Right.
Like we got 3 goals the other day, we lost the game because we didn't match the discipline part of not giving up goals.
Right.
Now you take the island games, these girls, even though the opposition is what the opposition was, they did not give up a goal.
Right.
What that tells you, if they're not giving up a goal, that tells you that there's a level of discipline.
Mm-hmm.
That
Everybody's
tells you
doing
that,
their job.
because you could go to the island game and say, I could win this game 6-0, maybe I give up a goal. If you look at the boys, they won their first game big.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they won their first game big 7-1, they gave up 1 goal.
Yeah.
And then next game 2 goals. Next game
And then they lost.
That indiscipline shows up.
Yeah.
So I can see these girls are moving out of discipline states. That's number one.
Right.
Now, can we get an edge here? Now, we've been talking about the win here. I know that Dominican Republic came in last night on a late flight.
Right.
Make them face the win. Make them face the win and see how tired they are. See if they recover, because flying from Dominican Republic to Bermuda,
that's a long way.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
That's got to come into play. Those are the margins of details that have got to come into play. We send them in the first half against the and fire them out. The second half,
see what you get out of it. Only because, that's a valid point. Only because, as we know, when you travel and you travel for a distance, the next day you're tired. Now you're in this humidity.
Let's take them.
The coach don't have much time because the coaches really want you off your feet all day just so you have some energy. But then it's a natural thing. You get up, you move around, you go down by the waterside. Yep, it could be your first time in Bermuda. You want to get at least a low peak of, because you're leaving tomorrow morning. Yeah. So it adds to all of that. So Like you said, maybe it'll be an advantage to go against them in the first half, or it may be an advantage to go with the win in the first half, put them out of the misery, and then do what you got to do in that second half. But it's one of those things. As Bermudians say, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't.
We're not going to win the game in the first half. We're gonna be this game's not going to be won in that. It's gonna. I sense that this game's gonna be won over 90 minutes.
Right. Okay.
Over 90 minutes, this game's gonna be won.
Yeah. One of the things that another one of the things is that we have, like you said, these young ladies have been together for quite some time, and there's still other ladies out there that are vying for positions in this team that are still plying the trade in the U.S. and in the U.K. So what I say is that this team can only get stronger and stronger with the belief and proper results. We can actually get better.
The question I want to bring up, and is going to be a controversial question. Should we be at this stage now in Bermuda that we're scouting everybody that can possibly play for Bermuda? Is that something that we need to be doing from a number perspective? Because if you look at Canada, if you look at Jamaica, there are people that are playing for Canada and Jamaica that's never set foot in those
countries. Yeah,
they've got ancestral roots that go back. Is that something that we need to be doing sports-wise?
I basically I can't begin to I have this conversation. Yes, we do. Because we have such a small pool, we're a small nation. So whatever advantage we can get to get these players to find out, wow, who is this player? They were born over there, they have roots in Bermuda, or they have some way that they can actually play in this country. Yes, we should seek them out.
Well, that's been the case with what's her name? Tutus? Yeah, Ashley Tutus. Her father's Bermudian. She had never stepped a foot in this country, but reached out because she realized, okay, I'm not going to make the U.S. team. Here's an opportunity. I want to play international football, and I've got roots in Bermuda. Let me see. Reached out to Bermuda and realized, and I know for sure there are two other young ladies that are working on papers to represent Bermuda from the U.S. as well, who have this similar connection where the parent is Bermudian, and there's an opportunity they can get a passport and represent Bermuda.
Well, you do the track again.
Yeah.
Tyrone Smith is a prime example. It's a question of now. What again? It goes right back to the same question that I've been asking for years. What value are you going to place on sports? What value? Because at the end of the day, if you're Bermudian and you want to do a sport, whether you grew up in Jamaica, which may be an advantage or a disadvantage, or wherever, or United States, but if you want to play if you declare that you want to play for this country, then that's what it should be.
Well, I've always had, and you and I have had these discussions. The biggest problem is that no matter who the government is, they're always afraid that if you give for sport, you're going to give for everything else. However, if it's increasing your number, and right now we're down to almost next to zero people living in this country, we have to look at things in different ways. We want to attract people to Bermuda. We want to attract people to this country and be a part of this country.
It's a term out there now. The Arabs are calling it, and the world's calling it sports washing, because they're saying the Arabs are sports washing.
Sports washing, yeah.
They're using sports is so important to these Arabs now. They're using it to send a better image of themselves in their country.
Yep.
They're not calling it money laundering or they call it sports washing now.
Because they're buying everything.
That's the value of sports
for them.
That's the value. They bought golf.
Yeah.
They bought live golf.
Yeah.
Imagine that the PGA that's got 100 years old, they speak 200 years old, that the Arabs start buying. And be careful because the buying football.
Yeah.
Is important. The buying
clubs in the UK. They bought a league. And they're taking players over there to play in the league.
And I like it because what it shows is value in sports. They know, the smart people in the world know the value of sports. It's not just people running up and down.
Yeah.
And jumping over things or kicking the ball. They know the value in it society-wise. They know the value in it socially. They know the value in it economically, and I'm just watching the Arabs, man. I'm watching,
and
and it's
they've
fascinating.
weathered the storm
They weathered
because
the storm.
everybody talked about how they treat women and all that type of stuff, but they've weathered that storm. They've said, you know what? But we're still opening up our country
Yeah,
for people to come in and be a part of something.
yeah. It's fascinating to watch what they're doing with sports, and they sit curate on it. I watch all the interviews, you know, and I love it.
Yeah, Simons, I see you shaking your head.
No, I'm
You
just
should buy
thinking,
us. Yeah.
I'm thinking that when it comes to this country, and I want to get back to this country, again, I go back to the same thing. What is it that we really want? And it ties into the immigration issue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you look at cricket, look at Canada. Most of the team that our team is going to go up against are not even Canadian.
Well, the Canadians, quote unquote, citizens.
Canadian citizens.
Yes.
So when it comes to sport in Bermuda, again, and I'm looking at all of the kids, all the young men and women that are overseas who were born overseas for whatever reason. You know, if you're talking about trying to increase our numbers in this country, don't just look at the international business side of it. Look at the humanized side of it, and do things to entice your people to come back in.
Which is a valid point.
And so, and one of the ways that you get your people to come back home is through sport, because it's a national builder. I mean, cup match. Yeah, the Summers are always in Georgia.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
are you not?
Yes. At the end of the day, yes. Yeah.
You know? And so, what if we put that energy into saying to our football players that we value you? Okay? We're quick to tell our boys that they're part of the social fabric of this country. But the very game they play could solve a lot of the social ills.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because you don't need to be a PhD. You just have to be a little bit smart. I mean, because sports requires you to have some sort of intelligence, right? Because all sports is about angles and working out all sorts of tactical stuff, right? So it means you're not a dummy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you said that, Simons, because you know what? I go back to and Punchy played in the Masters, the ISL. The ISL when David Bascom had it, you had people from all over the island playing for different teams that would have never even associated with each other on any other, you know what I mean? Other than when the school system changed, these guys would have never associated with each other. But here they were playing in the same league, playing on the same team, playing from different. They were all from different places. And people were saying, "Oh, this is not going to work because this guy's with this gang or this guy's with this gang," but you never saw that because football turned them into one team.
You should never let that down.
And what statistically, the crime was down in Bermuda.
Yeah.
So statistically, during those periods, crime was down in Bermuda.
Yeah, and it should because
so we all know it's related. It's not rocket science. We all know it's related. I sit here. If it wasn't for sports, what could I be? 10 children. If it wasn't for sports, so we all know. We all know that it's related. It's just
Yeah. So we now have the teams have been released for Bermuda. We have Zakiah Turner in goal, Koa Goodchild, Victoria Davis, Danny Watson, Trinae Edwards, Nia Christopher, Aaliyah Nerlin, Ava Frazzoni as the captain, Tesnay Fubler, Ashley Tutus, and Jaden Masters will start for Bermuda. On the bench will be Dominic Brown, Samira Darrow, Jose Smith, Samira Low Darrow, Kelshay Birch, Janai Simmons, Kayla Bringman, Jade Simmons, Akila Frebbit, Jaya Rattery Smith, and Sari Fisher for the Dominican Republic. I'm going to try and get these names right. We'll go with the last names. Some of these first names are kind of difficult. We'll go with Gomez, Gil, Cologne, Parada, Clash, Cara, Odivia, Marte, Akama, and Cuvaz, as well as Reed. That's the starting lineup for Dominican Republic. But looking at this Bermuda team, um, you know, the balance of these girls that are starting have been together for a very long time. I remember the last time the under 17s played here. Ava Frazzoni was the captain at that time. They played Jamaica, lost 2-1. I'm pretty sure most of the girls in this starting team um, played some part in that tournament. So I think it was back in 2017 when they played.
I remember the game.
Yeah. So we're now looking some 5 years later, 6 years later, and let's see how they have developed and learned. Because as we all know, one of the most difficult things for a Bermuda team to do is play at home.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the case with the girls because of the regiment.
Right.
Because I thought that Jamaica game that they was going to blow us away.
Right.
And potentially we could have won it. It
Yes.
was 2-1.
Yes.
But potentially we disciplined if we stayed in the game.
Mm.
I think it's more for the boys because they play with the ego.
Right.
The boys play with the ego and the crowd and that emotion. The girls play with the purity. Okay, what the coach said. This is what we're supposed to be doing. The methodical like that. So I think with the girls playing home is actually more encouragement for them.
Yeah.
It's less pressure.
Right.
It's meant to be what it is meant to be. A home force
Right.
advantage for the girls.
I would have to go back to the last game, Punchy, when the men played here. I think one of the things that would have helped the men to stay focused was the fact that we had the gun baby going on. And you couldn't hear what was going on in the field. You couldn't hear what was going on from the stands. Because there was a lot of people trying to shout out things, but they couldn't hear that because the beat was overcoming the noise of, the atmosphere kind of thing. So I think that's what helped them a little bit with the distraction. Because a lot of times when there's nothing being played, people are shouting out, and 9 times out of 10, the player wants to impress the person that's shouting out to him. And that's where we tend to have a problem. And right, you're right, Macy, but that's where the men's problem is. The men's problem comes down to, let me do what my ace boy is shouting out.
The girls remember what the coach said. They're more into what the coach.
So
I'm really hoping that we see that for the start. I think it's important for us to get the start here.
Yeah.
Of course, we always get the quality behind it, and concentration is paramount.
Right.
Paramount. Whenever you start a tournament like this, you want to come out
Mm-hmm.
at least 1 game.
Yeah.
Some respect.
Well, you start the game 0-0.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But again, let's make sure we take advantage of the run ball and be at them. So I would say just be at them.
Looking at the starting lineup on Jay Rattery Smith, she's proven to be a game changer.
Yes.
She's proven she's not been as efficient if she starts the game, but she's proven to be a game changer.
She can come on and do some,
and she can do some damage. And
Yeah.
she's going with that again. We're going with that contact of can we get them? So that lets me know, can we get them to 70 minutes?
Yeah.
Can we be on even par to 70 minutes? And we have a game changer. We have a few game changers on the bench. Birch.
Yeah,
Another game changer. She's had some experience overseas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting, and I would have loved to see the other two players here fit and be at full strength. But I think that's also the difference in the girls.
Yeah.
Somebody fills the gap because it's systematic for them.
Right.
It's more systematic rather than individual.
Yes. Yeah. And that's been the thing for a while.
And the example of systematic is difference between girls and boys. Liverpool lose all their top players, and they can. But England girls before the World Cup lose all their top players, and they go to the final.
Yeah.
Mind you, they didn't have it to beat the Spanish.
Right.
Or the Spanish have 12 top players not play, and they win the finals.
Yeah.
It's systematic for the girls.
Right.
They couldn't have done that. Argentina couldn't win the World Cup if Messi wouldn't have won.
Yeah.
But for girls, it's very different. It's systematic for them.
Right.
It's also about expectations too.
Yeah.
It really is, but a lot of it is about expectations. Right? I mean, how many of us in this country really expect our girls to play? So they don't have that pressure on. but we expect our boys to go to the World Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What expectation?
Yeah.
But realistically, yeah,
I
and
was hoping
that's the
that
other thing,
that
too,
they-
right? That's
Yeah.
really key.
Then you get so because most of I've spoken to people
Yeah.
over the week, you guys go to the game, and you was, oh no, I don't think it's gonna
Because it's not about supporting the country, see? That's the problem we have.
Yes.
And
We
that's
don't
it.
support the
We don't
country.
support the country
Everywhere else supports the country, regardless of whether it's table tennis
or whatever.
or whatever.
And that's what we have to get in our heads as a country, right?
Right.
You know, let's and I've been saying it since time immemorial, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you bring a Jamaican team down there to play.
Oh, you have the stands full of Jamaicans. I mean, we saw that when Trinidad played here. They were on the other side
Yes.
of the field
Yeah.
and out screaming the Bermudians.
Yeah.
And I mean, they marched from the stadium up the hill.
Yeah.
You know, it was just they although they're here, they support their country.
Yeah, and because it's about us trying, we going past the stage about building and developing national pride. All right? I mean, we have to have it. I mean, we're so quick to criticize one another
Oh yes,
and just wait for you to make a mistake.
right.
So I can tell you, I told you it's no good, it's like his mama.
Yeah.
Like his daddy.
Yeah.
We do all that foolishness.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? And
Well-
so the time has come that if I put on this jersey, I'm Bermudian.
Right.
Because I'm going to give you a time when we played Aston Villa,
Mm-hmm.
Somerset. And we lost
12?
12
nothing.
I'm walking to the stadium, right?
Yeah.
And I see some of my students coming in and said, Simons, Aston Villa's game, blah 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 blah.
Right.
Somerset. I said, but Aston Villa's playing Somerset. Somerset's representing Bermuda.
Yes.
I don't care. We don't like Somerset. But that's the mentality that we have, right?
Yeah.
That's the mentality that we have, right?
Yeah.
And so until we get to that place where when somebody puts on this jersey to represent this country, they represent all of us.
All of us. Yeah.
And so we need to support them, win, lose, or draw.
Yeah.
And especially when they're struggling, that's when we need
That's
to
what we need to do the most. Yeah.
And so I'm a little disappointed that the stadium's up.
Right.
Okay? And it's not just this. Because you know what it's like up here for a track meet election,
oh,
bringing
boy.
some international
Oh
athletes,
boy.
right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, we're joined by the president of the Bermuda Football Association, Mr. Mark Wade. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Well, Mr. Wade, we're here for the first. We talked about earlier. We talked amongst ourselves earlier about the women now getting the opportunity to play just as much as the men. Something I think FIFA has worked hard on, CONCACAF has worked hard on. But as an association, having these girls being able to show their talent, especially in Bermuda, what does that do for the association? What does that do for women's football in Bermuda?
I mean, for us, I think it's a version. Finally, I think we have supported our women from the outset. We've always been working hard to get women's football on a platform that they can be proud of, right? So domestically, we did a lot of work, had lots of variations in women's football. Finally got to a variation that seems to work. And now, internationally, we're at a place now where CONCACAF has decided to start the World Cup and Nations League for women. And here we are. Our women have the opportunity now to showcase their talents in front of the whole crowd.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at it, we also talked about expectation. Expectation for our women, and they've been together for quite some time. We've watched them from under 13 right through to now senior team. What for the association, the expectation of where we are, where we're going, and for the now.
Yeah, I think now we're looking for success now, right? It's been a long term project. Coach Keita and Aaron Dankins and Vance Braun, who returns him tomorrow.
Oh,
all right, Bronny.
They have put in a lot of work, right? And for me, now it's time to reap the benefits of that work. So I'm looking for success. More of it, right?
Right.
It's fantastic for them to win a gold again in the Island Games. The last time was 2013. So, here we have a new crop. Like you said, I've been together. The coaches have been together a very long time. So, now I'm looking for them to reap the rewards, reap the benefits of the work.
Yeah.
So, can we now, qualify for League A? Can we now qualify for the Gold Cup? So yeah, here we go.
Punchy.
Well, hey, good to have you here, Mr. President. Congratulations too. I think what we're all talking about is the fact that women's football and how it's growing, and we're going ahead for us into this, and I think we're heading in the right direction. What if we were also talking about development? Would it also be more important now, more so important now that the development of the schools and the leagues, we have good coaches even at that level, because women's soccer is just exploding. And to add to that, last year I went up to see the second league.
Yes.
Stuff, right?
Sure.
And I looked around, I could not believe the bunch of young girls and how organized it was. And I was like, wow, so we are starting. I'm sure we have to do that. I should congratulate you for that. But is there more that we should be doing now in terms of maybe hiring, I don't know, what you did with the senior national team, hiring an outside person that oversees the development of one of our schools annually? Would that be considered?
So I'm going to choose my words carefully because I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. So we have some exciting developments in terms of what we're going to do in terms of schools and working along with the Department of Youth and Sport and Recreation to bring this project to fruition inside the school. So it's only going to benefit our women. We're certainly looking at the women's program, seeing where we look at the men's program and we decide on a direction for women's football. We're never satisfied. So we're always looking for what is the next thing. So there are some exciting things that are coming on the pipeline, and you'll see yes, I'm just some movements.
Well, added to that also because I think it's the newspapers also picked up on it. I see more and more in the sporting parts, younger people that pay really good attention to the achievements of the younger people. And I'm glad I noticed that last year too. I was upset in newspaper, Monday newspaper, and I see all these young girls who scored, who did this, who did that.
You can thank Island Stats for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think added to what also enormously the promotional development and promotion. And I think there's a mini gold mine here.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I do say.
Yeah.
If I do say so.
I heard what you said, Mr. Red, but one component that you missed out on saying was the Department of Education, because as much as you and youth and sport may want to do, how much is the Department of Education on board, because they are the single one that's going to give you the permission to come into the schools to actually do this.
Right. So I apologize to the Department of Education.
Oh, okay.
They're on board as well.
Oh, they are? Okay. Well, that's glad to hear, because
so let me apologize. But yes, so that's coming. The other thing that's coming for women's football is coach license. Up until now, we've allowed coaches to continue and we're pushing coach education. So the next step is for them to follow the mail and now coach license. So that's coming as well, and that's gonna again start to lay this foundation for continued progress.
Didn't the clubs just cancel that?
Not just. We've had at least one meeting to discuss that.
Oh, to bring it back on board?
And there's hopefully some movement on that. Well, it's no secret there was a source of frustration for me, but
right.
Hopefully we see some movement.
Right. Well, we're 15 minutes away from kickoff for this match tonight. We know you have some things to do as the president, meets and greets and so forth. So we're going to allow you to get back to your duties. Thank you very much for stopping in. Hopefully it's a good result for us tonight. And come Tuesday, as the match is at 4 p.m. Bermuda time on Tuesday, we get to watch it on CONCACAF. So, hey, the opportunities, just like the men, the opportunities are available for the females to be seen in and around the CONCACAF region. So I'm glad that, I'm going to talk to Victor very soon. Montagliani, you and I is going to have a chat. But yes, thank you very
All right.
much, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We're going to get ready to end this broadcast. We will be back at 9 o'clock following the match to give you a post-game wrap-up as well as interviews with hopefully both coaches and players from both teams. With that, we say good evening, and you can tune in to CONCACAF's website to get the match Bermuda versus Dominican Republic. Go to YouTube on CONCACAF's website, and you will find the match there. We'll see you at the conclusion of the Bermuda match.